Hey guys, are you ready for today's July 11, 2022, 7:56 a.m. Central Time. So based on who wrote this, many of you will shut this video off immediately. Don't blame you. I would as well. However, I suggest you listen to it, not because I get paid for YouTube, because I don't by any means, so I'm not keeping you for ad revenue, is because this gives you an excellent idea of not only another example of the left trying to regulate something they know nothing about, okay, but also gives you a great insight on how stupid they are too at, I would say, the mediocre level when it comes to even writing. Michael Moore, okay, is who wrote this, and he created a whole 28th Amendment to replace the second. It's actually quite amusing. I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to read you through it. Isn't this guy a writer slash sad movie director? Because if he is, he really didn't, one, do his homework, two, write this accurately, and three, doesn't know what he's talking about. So we're going to go over it. So you think that someone who would go this far, though, to create this, they would at least be somewhat accurate in their attempt to be an idiot. Unfortunately, Michael Moore did not look at that way. Anyone who wants to tweet this to Michael Moore, that would be greatly appreciative, especially if he responded. It would be fucking hilarious and make my day, because I'm currently banned on Twitter for a dumb reason. Moving on. So this is Michael Moore. This was sent to me by a good friend of mine, John, who follows me on YouTube and Locals and a few other places. It says, the 28th Amendment, my proposal to repeal and replace the Second Amendment. First of all, this first section was immediately written inaccurately, and he has a template to have gone off of for the first section. It says the inalienable right of a free people to be kept safe from gun violence and the fear thereof. See, he obviously tried to even keep the language accurate. Must not be infringed and shall be protected by the Congress and states. This amendment thus repeals and replaces the Second Amendment. Okay, there is a template for repealing amendments. For example, Amendment 21, Section 1, the 18th article of amendment to the Constitution of the United States is hereby repealed. Okay? That's how the 21st Amendment starts. That's how this should have started. It should have said, the Second Amendment article of the amendment to the Constitution of the United States is hereby repealed. Then Section 2 should have said the ridiculous stuff that he had said in that first section. Moving on. So I'm a little critical of him, obviously, but hey, if you're gonna write this shit and be someone, you think you're someone, you might as well be accurate. Section 2. Congress shall create a mandatory system of firearm registration and licensing for the following limited purposes. A. Licensed hunters of game. B. Licensed ranges for sport of target shooting. And 3. For the few that can demonstrate a special need of for personal protection. That is written so horrifically. Here's a question. Can an amendment to the Constitution actually go completely against something Congress specifically states every single year in an appropriations bill, stating that a federal firearm registry cannot exist, period? Can you then create a constitutional amendment going past what Congress actually said they won't do and make them create it? That would be an interesting legal concept there. So anyway, all who seek a firearm will undergo a strict vetting process with a thorough background check, including written, this is cute, and confidential approval of family members, spouses, ex-spouses, and or partners and ex-partners, co-workers, and neighbors. Boy, my neighbor would just absolutely love to give me a written fucking approval for a firearm. Oh my God. Any neighbor around me would just be thrilled. A mental health check will also be required. There will be a waiting period of 1 month to complete the full background check. Okay, so you got to do all that. Section 3, those who meet all the requirements for the restricted gun owners groups and successfully pass the background check must take a firearms safety class and pass a written test on an annual basis. Okay, he repeats himself in section 4. The minimum age for the restricted groups can only to own as firearm is a 25-year-old. Okay, the second sentence says renewal and review of firearms license will occur on an annual basis. Dipshit actually repeated himself. Regardless, section 5, Congress will stipulate and continually update the limited list of approved firearms for civilian use, including weapons in the future that are not yet invented. The following firearms are therefore banned. This is cute. Look at this. All automatic and semi-automatic weapons and all devices which can enable a single-shot gun to fire automatically or semi-automatically. So this dude is banning every single, I wouldn't even say popular, because it is popular, but you're talking about handguns, pistols, everything. The only thing this guy leaves behind would be what? Bolt action and maybe some revolvers out there. I'd have to question that one for someone who's actually into revolvers, because I'm not. But he's banning every weapon out on the market, period, except a bolt action that what I can see here. Any weapon that can hold more than 6 bullets or rounds, which, by the way, Michael Moore, are the same thing, at a time, or any magazine that holds more than 6 bullets. Pick or choose your word, Michael. All guns made of plastic or any homemade equipment and machinery, or a 3D printer that can make a gun or weapon that can take a human life. So you are not only adding guns to this, you're adding any weapon that a 3D printer can make. So if a 3D printer can make a knife, that technically would fall under this legally, wouldn't it, Michael? Section 6. Congress shall regulate all ammunition, capacity of ammunition, the storage of guns, gun locks, gun sights, body armor, and the sale and distribution of such items. No weapons of any kind whose sole intention is to premeditate elimination of human life are considered legal. What? Like, good luck with that concept. Congress may create future restrictions, as this amendment specifically does not grant any American the, quote, right, end quote, to own any weapon. So he has now opened up this amendment, the 28th Amendment, from a firearm to any weapon that is out there, period, by doing what he has done in this. He's so, let's just say he's not very bright. He's not the brightest crayon in the box. Section 7. Police who are trained and vetted to use firearms shall be subject to comprehensive and continuous monitoring and shall be dismissed if found to exhibit any racist or violent behavior. So now this is talking about police, not police who are trained in firearms will get their firearms removed. No, it's talking about police will actually dismissed, meaning will be dismissed from their job. Okay, they will be fired. Okay, if they exhibit any racist or violent behavior. This actually has to do with policing now. Okay, so he's opened it up to extra weapons, to police ability to be hired or fired, and guns. And by the way, he adds body armor, gun sights, gun locks, everything that kind of has to do with guns, except for he's adding some of those extras, body armor and gun sight. I'm curious to why he's adding gun sights in this is like as specific. That doesn't even make sense. Anyway, Section 8. Persons already owning of any of the above banned firearms and who do not fall into the legal groups of restricted firearms owners will have 1 month from the ratification of this amendment to turn in their firearms for destruction by local law enforcement. These local authorities may organize a gun buyback program to assist in this effort. Okay. That's cute. First of all, Michael, let me put it this way to you. For someone who reads law constantly and reads legislation obnoxiously, you have created new terms in this congressional attempt, okay, to create an amendment, such as gun buyback, okay? That is not actually a legal term. That is a talking point, okay? So you're going to have to actually create a bunch of definitions by Congress before you can even create the crap that you have said. So you did not do your homework whatsoever. You have added any weapon, okay, period, not only made by a 3D printer, but you said any weapon, firearms. You've added things that are not having to do with firearms, like body armor. I get there's a relation, but there's not a direct correlation, okay? You're adding optics, which would be an attachment to a firearm, which would be weird, because wouldn't you want to then regulate everything else that you could put on a firearm? Like foregrips, you could put optics, you can change out the, the stocks, you can do all kinds of things. So why just an optic is questionable. But you've also opened this up to whether police can keep their jobs or not, okay? So you are now trying to regulate what would be the private sector, okay? Because police departments are locally owned, so I guess you could call it the private sector, and they're not federal, on whether or not they can keep their jobs if they have racial issues, racist remarks, or anything else, and show violent behavior. That's cute, because then you have to define also what exactly violent behavior would be. Oh, it's obvious what violent behavior would be. No, it's not. That's not how laws and legality works. You have to spell out every single piece of trash, okay, inside anything, whether it be a bill, legislation, a sad attempt to repeal and replace the Second Amendment with a 28th Amendment, or anything else. Everything has to be spelled out. You cannot just make up terms that are left-wing talking points to try and fit your narrative. On top of it, do you actually realize that you are literally banning every single firearm out there that is not only modern, obviously carried by everything? Does that mean if you are banning all semi-automatic weapons besides the automatic weapons, are you saying that the Glocks that police carry are now banned too, and they can no longer carry it? So you need to be more specific here. You obviously have not put too much of your brain power or thought into this to have published this on your website, okay? And saying 6 bullets or rounds, please figure out the terminology. I will actually give you, however, a perk for using the term magazine rather than clip or other such terms that are out there. But that's about it. You've opened this amendment up to too many things. You did not write it accurately. The first section alone is written inaccurately. You have a template to use to write this amendment, and you didn't even look at our current Constitution to find it. Sad attempt to be a political junkie who thinks they know law. Anyway, this is Are You Ready For It? Take care, guys. Have a great morning.